I know you've been seeing this extended peplum blouse everywhere, but what most tutorial don't show you is the real trick behind the smooth cap sleeve extension or continuous cap sleeve. Today I will show you the cleanest method to make an extended peplum and a continuous cap sleeve that even beginners can actually pull off. Let's get to class. All right, so we'll start by marking our start line. You're welcome to class. All right, then you on that start line, you'll mark your shoulder divided by 2. And on that point, you come down by 1 inch. That's going to serve as your shoulder slope. Okay. And then you come in by 3 inches for your neck width and you connect this 2 points. Then from your shoulder slope, you come down by your armhole length, which is usually your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Okay, whatever you get with that measurement, you come down by it. You get that now? Then you're going to square up a line to the shoulder slope. We're just trying to form our armhole. Then you mark your bust divided by 4, bust circumference divided by 4, and then form, an angle there. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure my line is straight. Then you form that angle. Okay, then you divide your armhole by 2, come in from that point by 0.75. Now because I'm busty, I usually use 1.5 as my armhole depth. So if you're on the plus size, come down by 1.5. You will see you will see the difference and you will love it. Okay, when I started doing this, I started noticing that that gaping that happens for people that are busty. When you finish sewing your basic body, it's as if it's gaping at the armhole. If that happens to you, this is going to be a solution for you. Okay, but if you are not plus size, just do your normal come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope. Okay, all right, so I'm now coming down by my bust points. That's my shoulder to bust point, shoulder to half length. I'm not going to be using under bust in this. This is a very basic top. Okay. Then you mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then on your half length you're going to mark ½ inch on both sides. I didn't mark ½ inch on both sides. I actually marked 0.75 on both sides because I really want you to give me that fullness, because as I said, I'm busty. Okay, but if you're not busty, just mark ½ inch on both sides. But for me, I'm going to use 0.75 on both sides. Okay, then I marked my waist plus my 1.5 that intake. If you do 0.75 into 2, that's 1.5. Okay, but if you marked 0.5, that is ½ inch on both sides, your that extension is now going to be 1 inch. Okay, then for the bust that, I came down by the difference between my front half length and my back half length. That is your front half length minus your back half length. What you get is what you use for the bust dart. Then I went out from my nipple point by 1 inch, both for the waist dart and the bust dart. So notice that. Then for our continuous sleeve, you would extend that your shoulder slope, and then from the shoulder, where the shoulder ends, you mark 3 inches, and at that point you come down by 1 inch. Okay, then with your curved ruler, the curved part of your ruler, you will connect your shoulder, where your shoulder actually stops, to that 3 inches, and then you will measure what you got if it's still up to 3 inches. Okay, so you mark the 3 inch point on that curved line, and then you will connect it to your shoulder. You see that now? You connect it all the way to your shoulder. So this is me trying to connect it to the shoulder. Okay, and then you will come down by ½ inch. This is so that you can, for ease for you to lift your hands. Okay. All right, so with that done, the next one I'm just going to mark is our neck depth. I used 3.5. I marked 3 inches initially. I felt it might be uncomfortable, so I used 3.5 for my neck depth, not neck width, neck depth. Okay, so I'm going to mark this, and this will be it for our top. We're actually done with the front part, and then I'm just going to cut this out. I didn't realize the video cut at some point, but what I did here was, before I cut the side, I folded it in, corrected. When you fold this in, it's no longer going to be straight, so I folded it in, corrected the waistline, sorry, the side line, and then I cut it out. That's all. Okay. Then for the back, we are almost done with this actually. You're going to mark your zip allowance first. I came in by 1.5 inch, and my storage system was really whining me at this point because the video cut again. But what I did was just what we did in front. Divide the shoulder by 2, come down by 1 inch, and then get the armhole length. But here the only difference is that in the half of the armhole length we came in by 0.75 in front, but here we are going to come in by 0.5. So if you don't know how to do this, just go back to the front and do exactly the same thing, except this time you will come in from the armhole by 0.75 0.5 inch. That's all. Okay. And then I marked the back half length. Remember, the front half length and the back half length is not the same length. Okay, so mark the actual length of your back half length here. Then I marked my nipple to nipple divided by 2, connected it, and then on the waistline that is a half length, I marked ½ inch on both sides. Okay, I marked ½ inch on both sides. I connected it to the chest line. In this one, I extended the armhole length, this armhole length, I extended it towards the chest to form the chest line. Okay, then I marked my waist divided by 2 plus the 1 inch I took for the darts, and I connected it to the bust. And with that, we are done. Now it's for us to now do our extended continuous cap sleeve for the back. Okay, so we extended the shoulder slope by 3 inches, came down from there by 1 inch, just the way we did for the front. Then I'll bring in my front. The reason why I'm bringing in my front is that, you know, I came down from my shoulder slope by ½ inch. Okay, so I'll bring in my front, and then if you didn't come down by ½ inch from your shoulder slope, what will happen is that when you bring in your front, you will need to come down from these points by half. Are you seeing the way I'm coming down by ½ inch? But mine is going to align without that ½ inch because I already came down by ½ inch from my shoulder. I don't know if you understand that. Okay, mine is going to align because I already came down by ½ inch from my shoulder. So if you are not a plus size and you didn't come down from your shoulder slope by 1.5 inch, you came down by 1 inch, then you need to come down from the bust line by ½ inch. I hope that made sense. See, if you have any question, I'm in the comment section to answer you. Okay, then we're going to be eliminating the zip bulge by coming in from the waistline by ½ inch. Okay, and then I'm going to connect that ½ inch to, I'm going to connect it to nothing. I'm going to connect it till we get to the neckline. You see that now? So I'll extend it and then I'll connect it into nothing. Okay, that's how we say it. All right, then I'm going to come up from the waistline by ½ inch and connect it to the side. You see how I did that? Yes, with this you have eliminated the zip bulge. And if you want your waist to, you know, snatch and let me be snatched, then you don't need to replace that ½ inch that you took. But if you don't want it, please replace the ½ inch that you took for the zip bulge, replace it by the side, and then cut out your fabric. Okay, so if you're seeing this channel for the first time, you're welcome. We post sewing tutorials every single week. Okay, so hit that subscribe button right now so that you'll be a part of the family, and click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we post a video. Now for the extended peplum, this is how we're going to do it. To determine the length of your extended peplum, you're going to determine the length of the top that you want to make. Okay, your top length, and it's usually good if it's not too long. It looks fine when it's not too long. So the length of the top you want to make minus your half length. So if you take out your half length from the length you want to make, that is now the length of your extended peplum. When I did that, what I got was 8 inches. Okay, so you're going to mark that 8 inch. That's the length of, that's the width of your peplum. Okay, so I'm going to mark it across. Now for the length, okay, how you're going to get the length of this peplum is that you are now going to measure your waist and you're going to divide it by 2. Okay, so your waist divided by 2, whatever you get, you're going to mark it. When you now mark it, then you're now going to mark the extension, the length you want the extension to be. For mine, I didn't want it to be so long, so I used 20. Okay, so now you have 20, and remember that you're going to extend it on both sides, on the right and on the left. Okay, so that means you're going to mark your 20 times 2, so that is now going to give me 40 for the extension. Then that 40 plus the waist divided by 2 I marked initially. I hope that made sense. That's now going to give me the length, full length of my peplum. You know, it's the peplum is a square peplum, just a square fabric that is placed well. You get, so that's how I'm going to mark it. So I will now divide whatever I have by 2 and use it to place my fabric on fold. This is to help me cut it faster. You understand that? But if you don't want to place your fabric on fold, whatever you get, just mark it from one end to the other end. Let me repeat what I did. I marked my waist divided by 2. My waist is 32, divided by 2 should give me 16. So that 16, I've marked it. Then the 16, then the length I want my peplum to be is 20 on each side. So 20 plus 20, that is 40. So 40 plus 16, that is now going to give me 55. So the length that I have is 55, but I folded into 2 so that I will get I will get it on fold. You get that? So the length of what I have now is 55. So I will cut both for the front and the back. But for cutting for the back, okay, I'm going to extend that 55 by 4 inches. So 55 plus 4, because 2 inches is going to be for the zip allowance. You understand? So that 55 plus 4, so that will give me 59. So what I'm folding the back by is 59. So this thing is 59 in the back is 59 in length. So I divided 59 by 2 and then I cut it on fold. This is just so that it will be easy for me to cut. That's the reason why I folded it. You get that, right? All right. So I'm going to be cutting out for the back. I hope you are following the class. If you are following, please tell me in the comment section that I am following. Okay, so this is what we are going to have. Meanwhile, let me take this opportunity to still announce our corset masterclass. Our cupped corset masterclass it has already started, but because the class is on Telegram, you have access to the class and you have an interactive group that you will ask your questions and you will get answers. Okay. So if your corset game is not yet solid, then this class is for you. Okay, join the cupped corset class. I will teach you sculptured cupped corset and its international standard. So if you have not joined the class, join. Also, we have our tailoring community. We have our fashion designers community. It's a community of fashion designers where you can interact with other fashion designers, ask questions, and get answers. Okay. All right, back to our class. So I put the fabric on fold both for the front and the back, and then I opened up the back. You notice that the back is 2 inches longer than the front. You see that? I hope you can see it. All right, so I now divided the waist by 4 and then I marked it. You see that? And then I'm going to notch that part. Very important. Okay, you notch it and then you will notch the center of the front. Okay, and then I'm going to cut another fabric as the lining for this peplum. You get that? So I will now cut my pieces on the fabric. I'm just adding 1 inch 0.75 sewing allowance for the down part, and then I'm going to add I'm going to add 2 inch sewing allowance for the side. Okay, follow what I'm doing. I'm going to add 2 inch sewing allowance on the side. Already we have marked the zip allowance. It was part of our pattern drafting, so we're not going to add any sewing allowance to the zip allowance, but we'll add to the shoulder and to the neck. And for the shoulder and the neck, I'm marking 1/2 inch sewing allowance round. Okay, and then for the sleeve, I'm just going to give 0.25 as my sewing allowance. You should give 1/2 inch sewing allowance round your sleeve also. I'm using 0.25, sorry, because I didn't want it to be too long. That's it. Okay, so use your 0.75 round the sleeve, round the shoulder, but for the side you should mark 2 inches by the side. You get that now? So that's what I did here, and we're cutting it out. All right, so we're going to cut out. Also mark your notch where your notches are. So this is what I have for the peplum. I cut the exact thing I had for the peplum in another Ankara piece, in the same Ankara piece, but you know, I cut two of what I explained to you. I cut it in two places so that I'll use the Ankara as the lining. So the Ankara is serving as the lining. So when you are joining this, you're going to join everywhere, but you're going to stop along that part we notched. You're not going to sew across the part we notched, but you can sew all the way around. I hope you get that. When I'm done sewing it, I'll also show you so that in case you don't understand what I said, you will still understand it. I'm looking for the notch here. I didn't know I made a very small notch, so I'm looking for it here. Okay, so when I find it, I'm going to sew everywhere around, but I'm not going to sew across. I'm going to leave the part that the notch is made open. I hope you get that. So I've also gone ahead to cut the lining for both the front and the back, and I'm going to be joining it. I'll place the lining in the front part, in the right part of the front. I'll sew round the neck. I would also sew round the armhole. Remember, it's an extended sleeve, so but you will leave the sleeve joining, the part that you usually join for your sleeve, you leave it open, okay? Because I will teach you how to join in such a way that it will relax. Okay, now I've gone ahead to join the neck and the sleeve parts. You see that? And I've notched it. Remember to notch, especially that sleeve part, notch it very well. Join your neck, notch it very well, top stitch, and then join your sleeve, notch it very well before you turn it over to the right part and iron it very well. Iron it dry. Then the part that you notched for your darts, you will now fold it in the way I just did and iron it out. Then to determine where my darts will be, what you should do is just to bring your pattern paper, place it on this thing and mark where your notch started. Don't go through all these routes with me. But what I did was just to mark from the shoulder to the bust point that I know I used, and then I connected it to the 1/2 inch that I marked earlier. You get that? Now this is the front. See the way I'm notching the sleeve for the front. That sleeve part, that armhole part, notch it very, very well before you turn it over to the front. For the neck, you sew your neck, the way you sew round neck, you sew your round neck and you top stitch on it. You top stitch the lining parts. I hope we all know what it means to top stitch. Okay. All right, so this, I'm marking where we are going to be placing our side darts. Remember we notched the side darts. I told you to notch whatever you are doing, or if you didn't notch your side dart, just bring back your pattern paper and place it on this one and then identify where the side dart is. That's all. That's why we have pattern paper. Okay, so don't get yourself worked up. If you didn't mark your notch, bring back your pattern paper, mark where the notch is, the side dart is, and then you mark where your dart is. But because I notched mine, that is, no, you know what it means to notch, right? I notched mine, so I'm using the notches to identify where the things are that I've marked on my pattern paper. I hope you get that. So I'm just replacing the things that I've already marked on the pattern paper. But if you didn't notch your own, don't get yourself worked up. All you need to do, bring back the pattern paper, place it on this your fabric, place it on the lining part, and trace out the parts that you need to sew on, especially the darts. I hope you got that. Okay, so this is what we have. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew it on both sides. Now for the peplum, I've also sewn the peplum round and ironed it. Okay, so this is me. I've joined the notches and I'm just ironing this out. Okay, iron this out very well. Let it lie slick. Okay, All right. So after doing that, you are going to be joining the front parts to the back parts. I've also gone ahead to mark the notch, the dart of to sew in. I don't even know why I'm saying marking notch in this video. I'm gonna ahead to sew in the darts of the back, and so I'll be joining it. Now watch how I'm going to join this shoulder neatly. Okay, I'm going to, you can sew it across the shoulder if you want, but I don't want to sew across the shoulder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold onto one part of the shoulder, then from inside the front I'm going to bring in the back. I'm going to put my hand inside the front, I will bring in the back, and then if you bring it in, you will realign, you arrange the shoulder, and you will sew across the shoulder. So just the way you would have sewn it if you were sewing it straight directly. So you just sew across the shoulder. Okay, now I'm done sewing across the shoulder. This is what it will look like when you are done, and then you will pull the back out of the front. And when you are done doing that, it's going to look so neat, and it will relax so well on your shoulder. You see how it looks. This is how it also looks at the at the lining parts. Okay, you see that there is no sewing allowance that will be seen, and we'll do that on both sides. Now for the peplum, I've turned it over to the right side. I've also ironed it, and I remember we marked the midpoint of the front, so it's that midpoint that will align to the midpoint of the blouse. We'll align the midpoint of the peplum to the midpoint of the blouse, and we'll sew it all the way until we stop by the side. Remember that we didn't sew in the sides, the waist that we marked. Okay, so we'll place our peplum from this for the center, then for the back we'll place it from the zip allowance, and then we'll sew all the way to the side. You see that now? So that place that you stopped for when you were sewing around your peplum, that's where you will stop when you are sewing from the zip allowance to the side. I hope you're getting it. I hope you're getting it. If you're getting it, tell me in the comment section. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. So the next thing we'll do is to attach our zipper, and we are done with this blouse. When I was done making it, it came out looking so good. Like you saw my picture, my video in the thumbnail. So tell me in the comment section, are you going to be trying this out? And if you've not liked this video to this point, come on now, give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube would show it to other fashion designers that might need it. Okay, so this is my creation. I want you to make yours and tell me how it came out. So if you're going to be making yours, tell me in the comment section, and I will see you in my next video. Till I see you next time, bye.